Hey everybody, this is a piece by Shachtman titled A Blow at the Fourth International. It's featured in The Fate of the Russian Revolution, Lost Texts of Critical Marxism, Volume 1, edited by Matgamna. It's in Section 10 of the book, which is titled Balance Sheets. Here we go. Wait, before we go, actually, I'm going to say, it says that this piece is from the New International, May 1944, under the title, quote, A Blow at the Fourth International, the Militant and Our Italian Comrades, end quote. So here we go, A Blow at the Fourth International. Make sure I'm recording. Alright, I am recording. Those of us who are interested above all in the victory of international socialism have received exceptionally good news. We have waited with impatience and with confidence for the emergence of the genuinely revolutionary socialist movement in Europe. Our confidence has been justified, our patience rewarded. In Italy, where the imperialist front was first broken by the revolutionary uprising of the masses, the real socialists, the Trotskyists, have come together again and formed an organization of their own. That is a sign of things to come. The treachery of the Stalinists and the miserable capitulation of the right-wing socialists has left the road clear to the growth of the revolutionary socialist movement represented in the United States by the Workers' Party, in Italy by our new organization, and throughout the world by the Fourth International. In its growth lies the hope of tomorrow. Every worker to whom the ideal of socialism is dear follows its growth with passionate interest and the warmest solidarity. We of the Workers' Party greeted the formation of the new group with great enthusiasm and immediately decided to give it the maximum aid. Our members and friends throughout the country have joined in this greeting with almost unprecedented vigor. Like Labor Action, the Militant, which is the spokesman of the Socialist Workers' Party, also printed the first manifesto to be issued by our Italian comrades. Here is how they headlined it in the April 8th issue of The Militant. Trotskyists in Italy issue call for socialist struggle, denounce the betrayals of the Second and Third International, summon masses to fight for socialist United States of Europe, end quote. The editors commented that this, quote, very important document, end quote, was, quote, issued by the Italian Trotskyists in the name of the Provisional National Center, which has been constituted for the building of the Communist Internationalist Party, Fourth International. The text of this document is the first decisive proof that the genuine voice of revolutionary socialism is beginning to make itself heard amid the crucial events in Italy, end quote. It is true that in reprinting the manifesto, the editors noted what they called, quote, the vaguest and weakest section of the document, end quote, namely the section on Russia. The reason for this was that the section indicates that our Italian comrades have not fallen into the reactionary trap of supporting Stalinist Russia in war or designating that slave regime as a, quote, workers' state, end quote. The document, while showing how Russia serves Anglo-American imperialism, does not refer to Russia's own imperialist ambitions and plans. But this defect is quite opposite to that of which the Socialist Workers' Party complains. But this defect is quite opposite to that of which the Socialist Workers' Party complains. In any case, the Militant did speak of the document on April 8th as, quote, the genuine voice of revolutionary socialism, end quote, and of our comrades as the, quote, Italian Trotskyists, end quote. That was good, that was right, that was wise, that was intelligent. But since April 8th, the editors have apparently received instructions that are neither good, right, wise, nor intelligent. In their May 13th issue, they make a turn-about face which is downright disgraceful. Under the imposing headline of, quote, Trotskyism and the European Revolution, end quote, the editors suddenly find that the manifesto of our Italian comrades is no longer, quote, the genuine voice of revolutionary socialism, end quote. The editors are, of course, aware that members of the Socialist Workers' Party, like members of our Workers' Party, have responded with enthusiasm and sympathy to the news from Italy. They know also that many Socialist Workers' Party members are beginning to reflect seriously and critically upon their disastrous party policy of supporting the Russian army as it advanced to crush the coming European working class revolution under the weight of the GPU. The Socialist Workers' Party policy of, quote, unconditional defense of the Soviet Union, end quote, is not working out so well, exclamation point. So the editors proceed to pour an icy douche over this part of their followers. Quote, nothing could be more fatal to the Trotskyist movement than to permit instinctive sympathy for any insurgent groups fighting under the difficult conditions which exist in Europe today, to betray us into political conciliationism, end quote. Political conciliationism with the counter-revolutionary Stalinist regime is all right for the Socialist Workers' Party, but no, quote, conciliationism, end quote, with the revolutionary socialists of Italy. The editors pious note that they can help the revolution in Europe and help, quote, build a strong Trotskyist organization only by drawing a sharp line of demarcation between the genuine Trotskyists and the impostors and muddleheads, end quote. In 5 short weeks, the Italian Trotskyists have ceased to be Trotskyists or to speak with the, quote, genuine voice of revolutionary socialism, end quote, and have become, quote, impostors and muddleheads, end quote. Why? Because the, quote, wiser, end quote, heads of the Socialist Workers' Party have now realized what was always clear. Quote, the authors of this manifesto, who apparently wished to deny such defense, bracket, of Russia, end bracket, felt the necessity of equivocating. No group can really be Trotskyist if it attempts to straddle the Russian question. The manifesto does not call for the defense of the Soviet Union. It does not characterize the Soviet Union as a worker state. Therefore, the manifesto is not an authentic Trotskyist manifesto, end quote. The language and style are typically Stalinist, even if used in the name of Trotsky, and so is the spirit of this excommunication. Just think of this. After more than 20 years of fascist rule, almost 5 years of the most devastating war in history, and in face of mountainous difficulties, a group of Trotskyists is organized and comes forward with a document which rings out as the, quote, genuine voice of revolutionary socialism, end quote, even to the editors of the Militant. This group has what is so rare in the working class movement right now, a sound position on the imperialist war and both camps in it. It has a correct position on fascism, imperialist democracy, and the struggle for socialism. It has a correct position on Stalinism and the right-wing socialists, the Third and Second Internationals. Its position on the Socialist United States of Europe and world socialism is correct. So is its position on the struggle for democratic rights and demands in Italy, and the relation of this struggle to the fight for workers' power. All this is of tremendous importance to the reviving revolutionary movement in Europe, and therefore to all of us here in the United States. On May 13th, however, the militant sees absolutely nothing of all this and has not a word to say about it. Its original greeting is replaced by a venomous denunciation. The, quote, Italian Trotskyists, end quote, become, quote, impostors and muddleheads, end quote. Workers are warned against yielding to their, quote, instinctive sympathy, end quote, for the new Italian movement. The whole fundamental position of the Italian revolutionists fades into complete unimportance by the side of their unforgivable sin. They do not adopt the Socialist Workers' Party position on Russia. The editors of the Militant are wrong on 2 counts. We politely use the word, quote, wrong, end quote, instead of the more accurate term, quote, stupid and criminal, end quote. First, so far as the, quote, Russian question, end quote, is concerned, the Italian comrades are 1,000 times more correct than the Socialist Workers' Party. The latter can only help break the neck of the coming revolution in Europe. Today, the Russian army already stands on the threshold of Poland. Tomorrow, perhaps it will face Germany. The workers and peasants who will surely move to overturn their ruling classes and attempt to establish their own government power will face an army which Trotsky once rightly called the tool of the Stalinist Bonapartes, the counter-revolution in Moscow. If the Polish and German masses follow the policy of the Socialist Workers' Party, which calls upon them to work for the victory of the Stalinist army, they will facilitate the crushing of their revolution by this army and the GPU, nothing less. The Socialist Workers' Party is simply asking these workers to dig their own graves. The Socialist Workers' Party is simply asking these workers to dig their own graves. Our Italian comrades understand this. The Socialist Workers' Party, with its mad fixation on, quote, unconditional defense, end quote, of Stalinist Russia, refuses to understand it. We are entirely opposed to the Socialist Workers' Party here, and entirely on the side of our Italian comrades and of all the other European Fourth Internationalists who have already taken or who will certainly take the same basic view. Second, even if the Italian comrades were wrong on Russia, as the militant says, since when has the position on this question become the only decisive test of partisans? Since when has the position on this question become the only decisive test for partisans of a Fourth International? Who decided that, and when? We know that in the past many comrades were similarly, quote, wrong on the Russian question without being read out of the Trotskyist movement, and read out so shamefully at that. In 1839 and 1940, when half of the American Trotskyist movement was, quote, wrong, end quote, on the Russian question, in the opinion of the militant, and even of Trotsky, the latter strongly insisted that there was room in a united Socialist Workers' Party for both groups and opinions, and that there should not be a separation over that question. If a split did nevertheless occur in the Socialist Workers' Party, it was mainly because of the impossible conditions for membership the party leaders tried to make the opposition swallow. Trotsky understood that the, quote, Russian question, end quote, was not quite so simple as the Socialist Workers' Party now holds it to be, that positions taken on it were much more subject to change than any other important question in the revolutionary movement, that it was the Trotskyist movement itself, more than any other, which had modified its position on Russia a dozen times in accordance with changes in the situation and reconsiderations. Trotskyism for us is modern revolutionary socialism. For us, all the fundamental principles of the socialist criticism of capitalist society, of the struggle for workers' power, of the building of the new society, the principles of socialist internationalism are embraced by the word, quote, Trotskyism, end quote, modern Marxism. Only idiots can reduce, quote, Trotskyism, end quote, to one aspect of Trotsky's position, real or perverted, on Russia, and declare slavish adherence to this position the supreme test of a revolutionary socialist. It is the Socialist Workers' Party leaders who have introduced this new twist in the Trotskyist movement. We shall see what the other supporters of the Fourth International, as well as the Socialist Workers' Party members themselves, have to say about this innovation. The Socialist Workers' Party itself has changed Trotsky's position on Russia, but in a reactionary direction, so that it becomes more and more the tail end of Stalinism. As we have repeatedly shown in these pages, the party leaders are blind and seek to blind everyone who listens to them. Their attack upon our Italian comrades is one of the rottenest examples of what we mean. Will they open their eyes only after the, quote, defense of Russia, end quote, has brought about the crushing of the European Revolution? The end. Thank you for listening.